But not only that, we coming to get our land. But not only that, we coming to get our freedom. You guys listen up, Black American. Listen up. We got to come together as one. We got to work on this 90% black on black crime. Now I'm not challenging every black organization. Come and get with us. We just started the 1619 Reparations Party. Go to onepercentage.org. We need your time. We just got 3 properties yesterday in Riverside City as I went on Skid Row, and we went yesterday successfully and got 3 properties for our people. Now we need everybody to come together. Go on that site, sign up, give us whatever you can, your time, your resources, your money, whatever. But I'm gonna say this right here, we need our mental health care. We got to deal with these people because they can't keep going back on these streets. In Temecula, we had a CRT argument. White folk gonna tell us that we can't even study our own heritage.
Sir, I'm so sorry to cut you off. I know you just got started, but I'm so sorry. But please come back tomorrow and submit your comments in writing through Reparations Task Force at DOJ.com.
Black American.
Thank you.
Black American.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. You may begin.
Hello. Everything that Reggie said, I agree with him wholeheartedly there. But good morning to the task force. My name is Kim Mims. I'm a co-founder of Amend the Mass Media Group and a co-founding member of Coalition for Just and Equitable California, CJAC. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this morning. Opportunity of any kind is not often extended to descendant communities, which is why we are here staking our claim for reparations today. First, I want to thank the task force for voting to establish lineage-based eligibility criteria for the reparations. The proposals and recommendations set forth by the task force must also meet the lineage-based criteria standard. Chair Camilla Moore mentioned that Governor Gavin Newsom has established a race and equity commission of some sort. All universal programs and policies should be placed under the racial equity umbrella and not in the reparations bucket. I also want to thank you for voting to establish a full-service grievance agency, which will help descendant communities repair past harms and combat continued systemic racist systems. There's a lot of misinformation being put out right now in regard to the California reparations, and the task force, DOJ, and Charles Communication Group needs to do more to challenge and correct the false narratives being spun in the main media. As someone born into a civil rights era, Generation X, like Malcolm X, I never imagined that I would be standing here today in 2023, fighting for reparations, but here we are. So let's get into it. I know that Reparations Task Force is in the proposal stage of the process, and I just want you to pay very close attention to 3 things: employment, housing, and heirs property. Many of us were lured out to California, our family were lured out to California, leaving land behind.
To cut you off in the middle of your sentence, but thank you so much.
Last thing, please
tomorrow.
extend the housing farms to current day
Thank you
time,
so
not
much.
cut off at 1970.
Next caller, good morning, and your time is.
All right, let's get to it. Chris Lobson, lead organizer and acting president, Coalition for Just and Equitable California. It's good to see y'all. So, first, thank you so much for voting for the full service, as my partner said, Freedmen's Agency. That was a dope vote. Thank you. Secondly, as always, thank you for supporting and voting for lineage specificity eligibility for California reparations. Thank you. Also, as my partner Kim said, do more to fight the misinformation, do more to fight the disinformation. The fight for California reparations is on now. It's not waiting until the legislation comes out next year. The fight is on now. The fight for public opinion is on now. So do more to fight the misinformation, do more to fight the disinformation that's coming out. Lastly, I don't want to see, a lot of us don't want to see no universal nothing in that final report. No race-based nothing in that final report. Everything gotta be for us, everything. Universal plans don't work. What happens happens is you do something universal, and then the people with the most take the most. The people with the second most take the second most. The people with the third most take the third most, and we get nothing or less than nothing. No universal nothing. Everything specific to the descendant community. Everything specific to the people. You said this is specifically for. Universal plans do not work. Race-based plans are almost certainly illegal. Race-based, all black people policies are almost always certainly unconstitutional. No universal plans, no race-based plans, specifically every single thing specific to the descendant community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next speaker, please go ahead.
Good morning. Everything Chris said, times 3. My name is Don Bassiano, and there's been several discussions around the eminent domain and the taking of land, property, and businesses from black families. Many of these proceedings were initiated by the California Department of State Parks, Caltrans, the Attorney General, and other local and state entities under the false pretense of bettering the lives of Californians. We know some of the state and local entities that took property and land from black families, far too many black families to speak to individually here today. But what of the other organizations that assisted in taking wealth from black families? Not only here, but throughout the United States, many organizations have a permeating influence in many black communities, gaining trust, taking property, deeds, and securing others' wealth for their own. The local Sacramento chapter of the NAACP drafted a will and became the conservators of that will just a few weeks prior to the death of my great-grandfather, Curly Monroe, in 1963. While he lay dying in a nursing facility, the NAACP drafted Curly's will, taking $125,000 and approximately 150 acres of land, homes, a blacksmith shop, and orchards. And they later sold that property to the state of California and private white owners. Property and land valued at $7 million in today's market. Glad they didn't know he had land in Sacramento and Sparks, Nevada as well. Proceeds from the sale of that property went to the New York chapter of the NAACP, as well as $125,000. Nothing staying here in California to help black families, nor any black family as far as I can ascertain. What the NAACP did do is set up an educational fund for several white children in the community surrounding Paloma. Names attached to children that upon research did not exist. When we call on organizations to assist in this fight, those that will justly push for change, advocate for legislation and political representation to undo the harms wielded upon black Americans, we cannot have a seat for organizations like the NAACP that have historically underrepresented black communities.
I'm so sorry to cut you off in the middle of your statement, but feel free to come back tomorrow or submit your comments in writing. Thanks for taking your time to show up today. Okay, next speaker, please speak into the mic.
Yeah, first of all, the name is Vader, not Vapor. And secondly, I'd like to point out, as I always do, the obvious in the room. So if we look at all the camera operators in here, right, all these professional cameras representing these news agencies, how many of them are black American? How many of them are operated by black Americans? Exactly, none.
Let's go.
So as we see the racism in this room, as we see that this panel is not even gonna call out their own member who didn't show up, and we know why he didn't show up, because he didn't want to get shouted down, right? You know what? The governor's failing us. The governor appointed this panel, and his panel is failing us. Cash reparations. Cash. That's a minimum. Okay? And you guys are not even gonna speak on that. He's supposed to represent black Americans. Is he representing black Americans? He's in Ghana right now, when he's supposed to be here. What is that? And then this fake coalition, did he even speak on it? Did he speak on Amos Brown not being here, or the fact that he rejected cash payments for black Americans? See, these people are, you know what? It's fake up in here. And the governor is responsible for the fakeness. Yeah, I'm calling you an enemy of the people to your face.
Please, Okay, our next group of speakers is numbers 6 through 10. If you have a number 6 through 10, please line up and approach the mic. Okay, next 5 speakers. Come on down. We have Akil McKinney, and I really apologize if I don't pronounce your name correctly. Ms. White, Mr. Williams, and Norma Haywood. Please line up. Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
You may begin. Speak to the mic.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, everybody. My name is Akil Kashif El, and I'm here to put my statements on the record, just a few of them. If your seal and your flag, if the seal and the flag of your nation is not in this court, the laws and the Constitution, if the seal and the flag of your nation is not in the court, your law and Constitution is not represented. Therefore, you have no protection in that court. If you are in love with slavery and injustice, just ignore that statement. Assembly Bill 3121 is civil rights legislation reimagined as reparations for African Americans. Civil rights legislation like the Anti-Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, or the Civil Rights Acts of 1964, or the Voting Rights Acts of 1965 are all forms of civil rights legislation reimagined as reparations for slavery. Understand that without an organized political body to articulate the free wills of our people, we're rendered defenseless against all political attacks. Banks capitalized the slave trade and the insurance company underwrote it. The viability of obtaining reparations for slavery is adjusted with providing remedy and recourse for sovereign immunity, statute of limitations, causation, and constitutional standing. Legislative reparations are possible. However, reparations for slavery must be pursued through the President of the United States, the judicial branch of the federal government, and the armed forces. In closing, looking to the people for ideas about law will aid us and you in locating remedy and recourse previously overlooked by legal philosophers. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Terrence McKinney, and I'm going to talk about the reparations. So reparations are overdue for all foundational Black Americans. Foundational Black Americans that were killed for nothing, babies taken away from mothers, fathers killed for protecting their families, and families broken up on purpose for profit. Medical genocide, unjust laws, and just plain out brutality. Foundational Black Americans have helped every culture to get on their feet. Now it is Foundational Black Americans' turn to do the same for ourselves. Not just for my generation, but also for the elders that took the time into the research and educated us and taught us our true history. Also, for the future generations to come that will lead us into the future with their heads held up high. I believe that $5 million in reparations is too little for the work that foundational Black Americans have done for this country and as well for other countries. I believe that $7.6 million is a number that can be used very wisely in our foundational Black American communities. 40 acres is also still a good idea, and instead of a mule, we would like a tractor. I also believe that we should know the name of all the companies that participated in the slave trade so we, foundational Black Americans, can start up our own companies. We should also be allowed to have a choice to learn our mother language other than Spanish or French in our educational classes. We have the Tut language that was started right here in America. During slavery, we have Swahili, Yoruba, Igbo, Zulu, and even Hausa. Community colleges and universities should not raise their tuition prices for the next future generations of each foundational Black American family, and we should be able to change our names to our mother land names totally for free. All types of real estate should not go up in price, but it is our land that was supposed to be for us, but as we all know, it was never given. Foundational Black Americans know all too well why all white people did not own slaves. We also know that you were not there when this happened, but we know that you are benefiting from those who helped keep slavery alive and active. To try to keep holding foundational Black Americans back for what is due for us is just another form of slavery. It is preposterous and totally absurd. We are tired of it. Like our great ancestor, Dr. Martin Luther King stated, we are coming for our check. But now most of us have direct deposit, so thank you for your time.
Bishop Williams. Good morning, Bishop Williams. Good morning. Let's give you a minute to get to the mic. Can you help, help him, get to the mic? Thank you, good morning.
Look, I was in the hospital yesterday, but thank God I'm here this morning. I thank God for all of you all. I mean, there's something here that has to be said and something has to be done. We speak about a lot of things that's going on, but one of the main things is missing that we don't talk about enough is the money. I heard on TV this morning that there was $80 billion for black people in the state of California in reparations. $80 billion, okay? So now, I have the proof that Oakland, California is an Egypt. I have all of that proof. Don't y'all listen to me good. I have that proof. And I sent a copy of there to the chair that we asking for 25% of all the Oakland property, Port of Oakland property.
Right.
Because the Port of Oakland was a slave camp, Egypt, okay? All the city of Oakland was Egypt in the 1800s. So, my thing is, and I want to build a Black Wall Street in Oakland. All black business, something never happened. Even in the 1800s, when the blacks cut down over 500 million trees and they built homes all over the Bay Area in 5 different cities. They didn't build nothing for blacks. Blacks still slept on the ground in tents and things. You see me? And matter of fact, 1825, 1925, black wouldn't even like to go downtown. There were 2,500 white women marched downtown Oakland. 1925, keep black from downtown. And a lot of black was hung, killed, thrown in the bay, and everything during that time. There's a lot going on that y'all don't know about. Okay, I'm bringing things to the light. Okay, but I'm asking for a total of building this town, building this, what I want to build in Oakland, on Black Wall Street. I'm asking y'all for $51 billion. Okay, that cash money that you put up, number one, to
Thank you.
so I can start building the thing that we need in Oakland here.
Thank you, Bishop. It's always so nice to hear from you. Thank you for coming out
Thank you,
today.
Bishop.
Thank you.
Bishop on that cash money. Thank you, Bishop.
Next, we'll just give Bishop a moment. And next, we'll hear from our next speaker. Ms. Hayward, good morning.
Good morning, I'm Norma Haywood. First of all, I want to thank all the speakers except for the Karen. Reason being, well, I drive a tour bus to all these large casinos around here in California from the north to the south. And I get so upset when I hear Indian casinos. We were here before the Indians were. They weren't actually Indians. Columbus was drunk when he came here, but he was in India. But we were here also, getting gold and everything. What I really want to talk about is my father, the Reverend J.T. Hayward, who had the colored and white signs taken down in Blythe. I was born in 49, and my father had those colored and white signs taken down in Blythe right before he crossed into Arizona. He told me about my family, and I don't call them my descendants, my family. I read about my 4th grade grandmother after they were free. She was snapped from her mother's arms, taken to the big house, and she was the house inward. And she talks about how they were free, and as she's walking with her uncles, they're walking by piles of our people that had been slaughtered. She's walking with her uncles. 3 white men approached my 4th grade grandmother and asked them if they wanted to be free. My uncle said yes. And when my great grandmother explained it, they blew their hair off in front of the 6-year-old. In other words, they shot my uncles point blank with a rifle and told her she better dance or they were gonna shoot her toes off. So these casinos, which should be ours, you send me a check for every uncle that I lost, for every year my 4th grade grandmother worked in the big house. You send me a check from Cash Creek, River Rock, Graydon, wherever, because they should be ours. And also, it's just so much I want to say, but my fourth great grandmother, anyone else can read about your family, it's already in the Library of Congress in her own words, So I just want my money for my family. They're not my descendants, they're my family my father told me about in Blythe, California, northeast of Palm Springs. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next five speakers, if you have number 11, 12, 13, 14, or 15, please come forward. If you have number 11, 12, 13, 14, or 15 on your card. Let's see. So is number 11 here? Person who has number 11? I can't pronounce the name. And then the next, number 12? Please come forward if you have number 12.
12 is right here.
All right, number 12, please come forward. Good morning. Please speak into the mic, and your time begins.
Task Force, Chair Tiffany, I should say. Real simple. Just the rate cash payments. With all the charades going on, all the information that's coming out about Wells Fargo, the $50 million, NAACP's in there. And the only thing I say is just, you guys are just the fronts. You guys are just placed in plants, like you guys have no power. I want the ones that are behind the counter, behind the curtains. I want you to know who's back there. Tell them they owe me and mine. Reparations, repair, and real estate.
That's it.
Thank you.
That's it, Terry.
Mr. Harrison, number 13. Who has 13? Please come forward. Go ahead, speak into the mic, and your 2 minutes begins. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Theodore Harrison. So I'm a graduate student, a PhD student at the University of Oregon. And so my dissertation work has been on reparations, but it's also reflective of my family history. I come from a long line of educators, specifically in Mississippi, where Reverend Brown is from. And the Lady Barbara Chess was legendary, right? In educating former slaves and those emancipated. Ironically, she was forced into retirement because of immigration. They did not accept her certificates and training, and that was also a problem with several of my family members. So my comments are kind of tailored specifically towards education and the importance of it in this plan, not to speak of or in place of any of the other proposals before you. But if you look at a lot of the social debate right now, particularly when you look at Florida and their attempts at school, it's to miseducate our children, right? So that we fight the same fight every generation, right? Because we have a miseducated pool of people, right? So I implore the panel, when you're thinking about how to restore and repair, it has to start also with education. If we don't have control of our education, we don't have control of our future. So I think, I don't remember the exact Malcolm was saying, but he said you're a fool if you let your enemies educate your children, right? That's a standard practice in the United States government. They did it with Native Americans. They did it with any population they got access to. They said, we'll give you what you want, integration, all that, take that, but we have to educate your children. I beg and implore you not to let that happen with this.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments this morning. Next speaker. Please come forward, Billy. Linda, please go ahead. You have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Bentley Callender, and I am an insurance agent here in Sacramento. I'm a non-foundational Black American, and I'm a legal immigrant. I'm here in support of foundational Black Americans. I do agree with Chris that everything that is connected to the agency needs to go to foundational Black Americans, all contracts, straight down the line. As far as the full service agency, I think that there's a piece that's missing, And it is because of hate crimes against all blacks everywhere. There's no comparison with hate crimes against any other group like there is with Black Americans. And the full service agency needs to have a division where a division of protection to protect the agency and to protect the beneficiaries. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker, Mr. Curry?
Yes, ma'am.
Please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. My name is Charlton Curry. First of all, I want to thank the task force for getting together and listening to solutions. I also agree with what was happening in San Francisco, payment of $5 million for every eligible Black adult, the elimination of personal debt, tax burdens, guaranteed annual incomes of $97,000. We really need free college for our students. My family came from the South because they were running for their lives. They were fearful of being lynched just for voting. My family and other Black Americans fought in every single war this country's had. From the Civil War to the war on the streets, the war on Black people. So when we ask for reparations, it's happened to other countries, like the Marshall Plan, happened to rebuild Europe. Now people go there for vacation. The GI Bill for American soldiers, but you had to be white. You couldn't be Black. No one fought it. The Homestead Act. Land was given to white Americans and white Europeans, but you could not be Black. They said, no, you're Black, no. So now we're asking to be pro-Black, and cash payments are necessary. Money talks, and I want money in my own account. I don't need to have to ask someone else for it. We're all adults, we do it, we pay taxes, we deserve the money. It's been given to other people. There are even farmers giving money not to farm. But they're white, and that's a shame. We need free housing. We need free health care. If you're sick, you can't function with the money. Mental health is fine too, but cash payments are necessary. I also want to personally commend Senator Stephen Bradford. Your name was all over television, but they call it NIL, but they don't mention you as one of the reasons that it happened. So I thank you for that. And I hope that everybody can understand money rules everything. We just gave Zelensky $100 billion. He's not Black, he's not even American. No one complaining. We need our money too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Chair, we have Attorney General Rob Bonta on the line who is going to join us and make a few comments.
Thank you so much. I will take a pause to acknowledge Attorney General Rob Bonta. I will introduce him first. On April 23rd, 2021, Attorney General Rob Bonta was sworn in as the 34th Attorney General of the state of California, the first person of Filipino descent and the second Asian American to occupy the position. Attorney General Bonta's passion for justice and fairness was instilled in him by his position and by his parents, who served on the front lines of some of America's most important social justice movements. It's why he decided to become a lawyer, to help right historic wrongs and fight for people who have been harmed. He worked his way through college and graduated with honors from Yale University and attended Yale Law School. Attorney General Bonta has led statewide fights for racial, economic, and environmental justice and worked to further the rights of immigrant families, renters, and working Californians. He previously worked as a deputy city attorney for the city and county of San Francisco, where he represented the city and county and its employees and fought to protect Californians from exploitation and racial profiling. He went on to pursue elected office in Alameda County, first as an Alameda Council member and later as an assembly member representing Oakland, Alameda, and San Leandro. In the state assembly, Attorney General General Bonta enacted nation-leading reforms to inject more justice and fairness into government and institutions. As the people's attorney, he seeks accountability from those who abuse their power and harm others as one of the most important functions of the job. He is married to Assemblywoman Maria Bonta, and they are proud parents of 3 children, Reina, Ileana, and Andres, as well as their dog, Legolas. Without further ado, thank you so much for joining us, California Attorney General Rob Bonta.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the very kind introduction. I really appreciate the opportunity to spend time with you all this morning. Good morning to you, and thank you for including me. I do want to say at the outset my apologies for not being able to be with you in person. While I am on my way to Sacramento because of weather and some unexpected delays, not able to get to you in person this morning, and my apologies again, and look forward to joining you in person at a future meeting. And I wanted to begin by thanking the members of the task force, commending you for your important work. You've been charged with helping California reckon with the original sin of this country, and something that remains a stain on our history. You are wrestling with and grappling with how the horrors of our past created lasting harm felt by Black Americans in the present day and to the present day. And that's no small order, and you've met the moment and you've risen to the occasion. So thank you for the work you've done, the work you're doing, the work you will continue to do. I also want to express my gratitude to California Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber, for her fortitude and her vision in creating this task force while she was in the Assembly. We joined the California State Legislature together, and I was proud to work with her on many issues and on many bills, but on this one, proud to be her co-author, and proud that I've been able to help bring it to reality, bring it to fruition as the California Attorney General. One of my first priorities as Attorney General was to form the Racial Justice Bureau to support this transformational endeavor with other efforts to create more racial justice throughout our state. And I want to give my sincere thanks to the members of my team who provided administrative and technical and legal support and assistance to help us get to this important point that we're at now. The Civil Rights Enforcement Section, particularly Senior Assistant Attorney General Michael Newman and his team, thank you. Special Assistant Attorney General Damon Brown, thank you, Damon. The Office of Community Awareness, Response, and Engagement, thank you, Kat and Maheen and your team. The Conference Services team and everyone throughout DOJ who's been involved in making this a success. It takes a team, it takes a partnership, collaboration, working together, coming together, and we've seen that. I want to thank everyone who's been a part of that. Getting the final report over the finish line is only the first step. After that, of course, the real work begins, and DOJ is committed to internalizing and integrating what we've learned into our institution. When you deliver your findings to the legislature on June 30th, you'll be stepping into uncharted waters. Never has any state government in 400 years of American history embarked on such an expansive effort of truth and reconciliation around the institution of slavery and its present-day effects. California is leading the nation, a nation that frankly has moved far too slowly. The truth is, from our earliest days, the institution of slavery has been inextricably woven into the establishment, history, and prosperity of this country. Even after its abolition, our government continued to perpetuate, condone, and often profit from practices that brutalized Black Americans and excluded them from meaningful participation in society. Our legacy of slavery and discrimination has resulted in debilitating economic, educational, and health hardships uniquely experienced by Black Americans today. That's why we must ask, how can we work together to form a more perfect union? That's why you are asking, how can we work together to try to remedy this generational harm and trauma? Your recommendations will play a critical role in helping to unearth history, shed light on the inequities of the present day, and begin a sorely needed process of healing. This is one of those rare moments we search for our whole lives, a moment where we can truly make a difference. I'm confident the impact of your insights will reverberate across the state, across the country, and across the world. I look forward to your report. Please know, until then and long after, and you have a partner in me and the Department of Justice. I'm honored to work with you I thank you for the work that you're doing. I appreciate all your contributions. Thank you for the opportunity to join you this morning.
Thank you, A.G. Bonta. All right, now we will resume with in-person comments. Will the next 5 speakers please come forward? Darlene Crumley, Ty Wilson, Gail Wilkerson, Constance French, I may not have pronounced that correctly, and Matthew Morris. So numbers 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Please come forward. If you have 16, Ms. Crumley, please go ahead. You have 2 minutes, and please speak into the mic.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to Chairman Moore and to the entire task force members. I'm Darlene Carmody, member of CJEC and Arc Bay area. I would like to thank you for holding this in-person meeting. Although it does not affect me, I would ask the next couple of in-persons be on the weekends, Friday and Saturday, so the descendant community can come. I mean, it affects them. Some have to take off for work. So I would really, really like you to consider that again. And also I would like to make sure that when you submit the reparations proposal, that they are specific to the descendant community that has suffered the harms. We do not, and we demand not to have universal or race-based policies going forward. And also, I would like you to fight more of the reparations myths and disinformation, especially what's on the web. And I think that people are getting confused what's happening in San Francisco to this California Reparations Task Force. And I think more information needs to be put out there, that these are really 2 separate issues going on here. And last but not least, I would like to thank you for voting for the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency that will provide services where none is provided, and will provide oversight services where they are being provided, retaining the option to provide direct services where necessary. You voted on this on March the 4th of this year, this month, so please hold to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out this morning. Next speaker, please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity and the work you guys are doing. My name is Ty Wilson. I'm a direct descendant of the Dollarhide lineage that came on one of the very first slave boats. I might not appear it, but I am half black, and in a lot of this conversation, everything seems to be black or white. And I ask if there's any considerations for people of mixed race. I don't believe in the race suggestions. I do believe in the lineage. But we have a lot of people that are mixed in this country that don't seem to be included in a lot of conversations to this day at California State Employment application. You have to pick one box. All my life I've been forced to pick white or black. I picked black, and it hasn't always benefited me or hasn't been negative to me. But now when I hear this discussion about what's going on with reparations, I haven't heard anybody mention about people that are of mixed race. So I hope you consider that. I'm not the only one out there. And I speak on behalf of, as far as checking a box, it's the other. And the other thing is, will there be an appeals process if you do not make selection the first time around? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out today. All right, our next speaker, good morning.
Hello, my name is Gail Wilkerson. I'd like to address that lady that said she came after and why should she pay into reparation. I came after slavery and I'm still suffering. My father worked at a white funeral home at 14 years old and in Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana. And they would attend to the white dead bodies and throw the black ones against the fence, he said. And even after that, he joined the Navy, the military, and we came out, well, I was born in San Francisco. And my parents were steered down to East Palo Alto. That's where I live now. Alleged former murder capital of the world. This is after Menlo Park took the right side. Palo Alto came around and took the left side and left the blacks to fend for themselves. I ran for city council last year. My eyes were open, we're being gentrified. I wasn't successful, and really, I wasn't intending to win. But I'm gonna win next time, 2024. Because I'm destined, we're being gentrified. They blew up our Black Wall Street, Whiskey Gulch, which was created by Stanford University to keep their students from getting drunk, 3 miles away. So now they done blown it up. There's a Four Seasons there that we're not allowed to open up a business there. It's not for the mom and pops. So I'd like for reparations to come in and for that lady who called in and said, this is still going on. We're still feeling the effects of slavery. I went to Middle Acton High School. I was the only black in a lot of my classes. In fact, I had one black kid that was, he got out because I guess I couldn't talk at that time. But we were going through all of that, and we're entitled to reparation, and we're entitled to money, land, and the financial things that we were forced out of.
I'm sorry, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming out today. Right, next speaker, good morning.
Hi, my name is Tiambe, and I appreciate your work, and I appreciate everybody that's here. And I want to remind us that we have to do this concurrent work. And so one of the things we have to do is unity of purpose. We're not going to get everything, and we don't expect to get everything from politicians anyway, but we have to stay focused. I think we can do it this time. And there's a lot of great ideas. I'm glad to see the men. I hope that you remember that unity of purpose and power is that what we need. Now, as Kim Mims said, please extend the housing harm timeline till current 2023. I want to talk about the most significant harm, and that is they took away who we are. We don't know who we are. Some Negress, NIDGA, NIDGER, African American, Afro-American, all kind of Asian stuff. We don't know who we are. And as a result, we can't get things done. We fighting against money for our own people. What the heck? What is that about? You know, we know politics is not gonna save us, but we have to remind people. So, okay, right. People said before, Native Americans got reparations. Germans got reparation. Jews got reparation. Japanese got reparation. The Marshall Plan, the redistribution of land plan. And no one says anything to a Chinese woman when she says Chinatown, or building Chinatown, Afghanistan, Ukrainian, Vietnamese. They fought and they got all kinds of languages on a little part in San Jose. I mean, and then we can't get reparations. We don't even know who we are. Is that it?
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Come back tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Walking in the children, don't rush me.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you. All right, this should be Mr. Morris. Good morning. Please go ahead.
Good morning. One of the most important questions that may be asked is, what would reparations repair? When you realize that these systems that were infiltrated with hateful agendas, as is explained in this task force's executive summary, you realize that the imagery linked to my people being the pimps, hoes, drug dealers, and prisoners is not our creation. It was a fabrication created by ignorance and hatred to address anyone that is and was Black as a whole. These were systems that we were largely excluded from and therefore could not fairly defend ourselves from its implementation, nor could we protect ourselves from the damage caused by its execution. For example, Hollywood, when they choose to create mass racist stereotypes in movies such as the blaxploitation phenomenon,
Perhaps reparations would replace the negative images of being criminals and jigaboos with that of business owners and leaders, such as those of the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, what is the harm? The harm is clear when at least 90% of the African American population have PTSD symptoms that transfers from family member to family member to neighbor. This PTSD has even affected me personally because for every victim I saw violent crime, I saw myself in the victim. For every news coverage story that covered it, I saw my likeness in the coverage. According to the U.S. Bureau of Prisons, 40% of the prison population is made up of African Americans, yet we only make up 13% of the United States population. This demonstrates a disproportionate number. How can we even begin to address these issues when our voting rights are also at risk to this day all across the country? This shows that voter suppression of the Black community is still a thing alive and well in this country. We saw places like Los Angeles and Oakland riot based on these unequal conditions that threaten our day-to-day. We have proof of the housing programs and banks that were allowed to mistreat us. The Black Panthers that showed us that the laws were not protecting us on equal footing. Most of the stores that operate in our community are not owned and or operated by African Americans, so how can we be a community when these institutions are not run by us?
Thank you so much for coming out. I'm so sorry to cut you off. Thanks for that powerful information. Our next speakers are Group 5. I need Raphael Plunkett, Alexander Brannon, Malik, Kamaji